Hello and welcome to a fresh edition of Wednesday Night Football on this station, Ascent TV. My name is Tunde, Koiki, your regular anchor, and with me as always is Bimbo Bankole. Bimbo Bankole is an expert in American football and other national sporting disciplines as well. And together we'll be looking at everything that has transpired in Nigerian and international sport for the past few days. Thank you so much for joining us, Bimbo.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. How was your weekend?
Not bad. Too short. Man. Too short.
I don't know what that means, but
Honestly,
I'll just leave it at that. Of course, you know that you can always watch this program live, or you can also catch up on the highlights on YouTube. That's at Ascent TV. That's ASENN TV. Of course, we like to talk about a lot of the issues, both domestic and international. Domestic, we like to talk about first football. That's soccer, as you Americans know it. Then we'll talk a little bit about American football. Some interesting developments have been occurring over the past few days. Let's quickly start with some really good, heartwarming news. Super Eagles midfielder Wilfred Ndidi has been voted as the best young player in Leicester City's team over the week. Of course, you do know that Wilfred Ndidi actually joined this team mid-season in the January transfer window, and I'm sure he must have made a hell of an impression because his peers have voted him as the best young player in Leicester. Also, his arrival has also coincided with the fact that Leicester, who are defending champions of the English Premier League, were pretty close to relegation at one point. They've climbed way out of that. They're in no danger of getting relegated, and it's a fantastic achievement for the young man Bimbo, considering the fact that he joined pretty late into the season, and in such a short period of time, he's made such a massive impression on Leicester City that it's almost unthinkable for either the coaching staff or the fans for a first team sheet to be drawn up, and his name is missing.
Actually, I think the first time I saw him playing in one Leicester game, it was when Leicester was really pretty bad. And I can't remember who they played in. They lost like 2 or 3-1. And I held myself from saying, this guy is a Nigerian, because I didn't even know him. And I held myself back from saying, oh, this is another Nigerian player, because I didn't want to seem like, every name that sounds or looks Nigerian
are we
is
claiming
a Nigerian player. But over time, of course, when I noticed that Ahmed Musa wasn't getting playing time on Leicester, and then that's when I found out that Ndidi is a Nigerian player. And for him to be voted as the best young player on the team, and a team that has the likes of, Mahrez.
No, let's talk about Demari Gray, who's a young winger as well. There's Ben Chilwell, who's a young English left fullback as well. Right. He was voted ahead of these players.
So, again, you see, I think we talked about last week about Iheanacho at City, what he has to do as in that crop of young players to stand out. I think that's what Ndidi is doing. He's a young player, but by every means, and like you just mentioned, there are other young players on that team that he was voted ahead of. So I think it takes not just the coach to actually see and appreciate all the hard work he's putting in, and not even just the hard work off the field. When he lines up and plays every weekend, we've seen what he can do. So I think that's just what the young kid is doing, and it's showing that, hey, I can play this sport at a competitive level if given the opportunity. So, let's not take anything away from him. I'm sure he has worked really hard.
Testament to his ability and his quality. He's been absolutely phenomenal. It reminds me of an octopus, actually, with all those long limbs wrapping around opponents and stuff like that. But that has also thrown up a major conundrum for the Super Eagles handlers, especially Coach Gennaro Raw and the technical crew, because you do know that Nigeria has an upcoming, Nations Cup qualifier, 2019 Nations Cup qualifier against the Bafana of South Africa pretty soon. And the question a lot of people are asking is, what happens with the Super Eagles midfield? There's so many permutations to choose from. There's team captain John Mikel Obi, who incidentally plays the same role as Wilfred Ndidi. There's Ogenyi Onazi, there's Etebo Ogenekaro, there's also John Ogu, who also just won the Israeli League with Hapoel Beersheva. So what happens in that kind of scenario? Wilfred Ndidi has proven beyond reasonable doubt that he's a quality player and he deserves a starting place in the team. But the thing is, that might come at the expense of the team captain, John Mikel Obi. What happens in that kind of scenario? Does the coach start tweaking his formation around in order to accommodate John Mikel Obi so as not to piss him off? Right. Or does he go ahead, picking form over reputation? That's not saying that, John Mikel Obi isn't a quality player, but he now plays in China. He's been slightly injured as well.
Yes, it is.
It's a major decision for the coach.
I think that's a tough decision for the coach to make because one, you can't outrightly just strip John Mikel of the captainship handband in the Nigerian team. But if he's not playing to form, if he's not playing the position the way we expect the man of his caliber to play, and we've seen Ndidi come out and show that he can play that position, I think the coach can accommodate both players because let's face it, football is a game of respect and courtesy. That's soccer.
I'm laughing already because I'm saying this because actually I asked you this question because you're a coach.
Yeah.
You actually coach an American football team like right here in Lagos, the Lagos Marines.
Yes.
So you understand a little bit of these intricacies and policies, team politics and stuff like that. It's very dicey. John Mikel is incredibly influential, team captain as well. Yes. Can be a bit of a diva, but but you do know that Wilfred Ndidi has probably been one of the most outstanding players, Nigerian players in Europe this season. Do you that's what I'm saying? Do you shoehorn both of them into the same side that might be at a cost to probably team balance or tactical efficiency? It's really pretty dicey.
Well, the thing about coaching and having to make decisions like that is, first of all, you make each player understand whatever decision you make is best for the team, not just the individuals involved. It's best for the team. Now, how good or how great Ndidi is now, you also have to consider the fact that John Mikel has experience, a lot of it, and a lot of exposure. So which means they both bring valuable to the team. Now, what any coach would do, let's just say in American football, you put both of them out on the practice field and let them compete. You let them compete for that position. You can either put one person to lead the first team in that position and then put Ndidi as well to do the same thing. And then what that allows you to see is how both players actually build the team and coexist with their teammates. It's easier for a coach to make a grand decision based on how the teammates connect with that decision. If you put Mikel in there and he's bad and he's just a disappointment and the coach doesn't need to say anything and the team feels it, and you put the other guy in, Ndidi or whoever in that midfield, and you plug that person in, and that person makes the difference. Now, psychologically,
it's pretty dicey. You do know that because as a coach, you do know that there's some players who absolutely hate to train.
Yes.
But come game day, they are ready to go. They will give 150%, and nobody knows that this player didn't train. There are some players that in training they might not be all that, but when come game day, they switch on their afterburners. And it's important to note this because that game is crucial.
It is.
We have to get everything right because we've not qualified for 2 of the last 3 Africa Cup of Nations against a team that regard themselves as a major rival. I don't know how South Africa got it into their heads that they are Nigeria's rivals. I don't know where that came from. But, it's pretty dicey. And maybe that's the good thing about having a coach who is not Nigerian. Maybe he's not affected by the local policies. No, he's not looking at tribalism. He's not looking about this person is your senior, is your elder. You have to respect him. He's just looking out for a team that is able and willing to perform come match day.
Well, I mean, again, for that decision to be made, it's easier when you actually see it in practice. Now, if Mikel holds back in practice and says, oh, well, I'm too big to actually show what I can do in practice, I've played all these years at Chelsea, I've played all these years on international level and overseas, then that's up to him. Again, this coach needs to be very open and be able to just pick talent and the starters based on their performance in practice. Now, there's the unwritten rule or unwritten policy where he can go what I like to call the 60-30 rule, which is allow Mikel to play 60 minutes as the captain and leader of the team, and see how we're going, pull him out and put the young kid in to play 30 minutes. But then, the 30 minutes might not seem like a lot to Ndidi, but obviously he still has to earn his rights. He still has to work hard in game time situation to build the confidence and earn the confidence of the other players on the team as well. So I think they can both coexist. I mean, Mikel needs to face it. You're playing in China now. Really no competition there. This is a young kid.
But he's also shown that he can be adaptable. During the Olympics, he played much further forward was pretty good in that role.
I think
That's also another tactical consideration. Yeah.
I think what Mikel has to his advantage is he has been able over the years now to play on either as a defensive midfielder or an attacking midfielder, which is actually good for him. It's good for him to be able to have that in his pocket and the versatility. Now, what I guess remains to be seen is Ndidi in that role over a long period of time. You know, he's still young. He's still going to have those games where things just won't work for him. You know, it's football. It happens even to the best ones. So how does he deal with those games? Not in Leicester, where he has all these other international talents around him.
But for Nigeria,
for the Nigerian national team, how does he deal with those games where subconsciously he feels like he's better than everyone else? He's thinking, you know, his football mind is a lot further ahead than some of the people he's playing with. How does he taper his own game down to accommodate these people? Or even maybe keep his game high there and then challenge these guys to come and raise their game as well. So I think that's the difference between Mikel being the leader he is now and where Ndidi is coming from. I think Ndidi can still play, maybe alongside with Mikel, maybe on the same field, see how he leads, learn from that, and play well. I mean, you know, again, I think I'll never get tired of going back to the strong midfield we had back in the day of JJ, Sunday, and even occasionally,
there are so many of them.
So you know, those guys could play together. Each one of them knew their role. JJ obviously had the unorthodox free roam, do whatever you want to do.
Everybody managed to subsume his own ego
exactly
for the greater of the team. It's interesting because you talk about the first time you saw Wilfred Ndidi play. That was actually for Leicester City. The first time I ever saw Wilfred Ndidi play was right here in Lagos. He played for an amateur team known as Nite Boys. Believe it or not, he never played professional football here in Nigeria. He moved abroad to Belgium. And you know what they say? The rest is history. So, congratulations to him winning the Young Player of the Year award at Leicester City. Had a phenomenal season.
Question: if Wilfred Ndidi played in Nigeria, if he actually played here in our league, first of all, do we have a Young Player award on each team in the Nigeria Football League?
Not to the best of my knowledge. No.
Wow.
Not to the best of my knowledge. I might be wrong, but best of my knowledge.
If we did, what would he get if he won like the best young player on, like, say, Enyimba, for instance? What would they present him?
I don't know. Maybe a plaque. Maybe just a small cash token. I don't know. I really don't know.
That's the Nigerian Football League to look. See how this young kid is. He'll be so happy he's not playing in this league.
Talking about the Nigerian Professional Football League, the second stanza starts this weekend. The league has been on a hiatus, a small mid-season break for a while. And interestingly, the NLMC, who are the managers of the Nigerian Professional Football League, had a mid-season review of sorts of what has transpired so far. And according to them, it's been perfect. It's been a pass mark. They also talked about the refereeing. They talked about, yes, their plans to make sure that it's better. They also, the clubs also promised to ensure that fan violence at match venues is stamped out to the barest minimum, and those involved in perpetrating this violence will be brought to book immediately. And also, clubs are expected to pay fines imposed on them within 10 working days. But the most important thing, Bimbo, is not what they said, it's what they didn't say. You do recall that the broadcast partners of the NPFL have pulled out, leaving a massive void in terms of programming and our ability to see these games. We've talked about the fact that the Nigerian Professional Football League needs to be on TV, because we do know, as a matter of fact, that those games that are played, that are shown on TV, are less prone to violence and less prone to dodgy refereeing. So imagine if none of these games are on TV. I shudder to think of the kind of things that will happen. So it's almost insulting that the LMC didn't even mention it. Well, I don't know what to say.
I mean, and on this program, we try not to be so anti some of this irrational decisions that is being made here in the Nigerian Football League or by the Nigerian League Management Office. But why wouldn't you want to address something like that? I mean, it's a key factor into how and why you were even suggesting on putting some of these teams on the stock exchange. You can't just go and not mention things like that. But again, the way some of the decisions are made and how things are done on this part of the globe allows you to question some of these things. I mean, I've always said this and will always say it. You know, this country is blessed with some of the most intelligent people on the planet. So when you do things like this, and you have a very intelligent core of nationals, we are going to question it because we're not stupid. It doesn't make sense. But then again, I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe there's a trump card somewhere. Someone is going to pull out and say, oh, in case you didn't know, we signed a massive contract with some massive company or media outlet, and the Nigerian Football League is going to come back on TV. We don't know. Even if that's the case, you want to actually communicate this to people. Let people feel confident and encouraged that this is not some kind of crap league that's just on the wayside, that's supposedly trying to compete with the rest of the world. But until we get this, I don't know. Maybe let's do this. Maybe let's blame it on the PA that was supposed to set up that meeting. Maybe he or she missed the minutes. So you need to go back and check your emails. Maybe you didn't send that email, right? It's probably in your draft box. Resend it so we can speak on these things, please.
I really don't know what to say, because the same issue happened in Ghana, the Ghanaian Professional Football League, where the broadcast sponsors pulled out. But immediately they've already found an alternative sponsor who's putting in a tremendous amount of money in the league. The broadcast sponsor is actually even going to build new pitches for them, synthetic pitches,
right,
and also even provide the league management board in that company with a brand new full HD outside broadcast van. Wow. That's part, and also not to forget they'll also be giving them just $12 million, just $12 million. I know, so something really has to be done regarding the Nigerian Professional Football League. But it resumes this weekend. Matches are plenty all across the country. Of course, you do know that one of the teams that has been fighting for the league title, MFM Football Club, they will be in Lagos against Aqua United, another pretty good team who've reinforced massively, over the course of the mid-season break. A lot of these teams have recruited Bimbo, and just how key are these mid-season breaks? Because the idea behind the Nigerian Professional Football League this season was to finish as early as possible in July. They're trying to align it with the European football calendar. That's not going to happen because the clubs have complained that they are playing too many matches, weekends, midweek, and so they need time to recuperate. So it'll now end on the 3rd of September. Actually, but let me just quickly read out some of the fixtures to look forward to this weekend. I talk about MFM playing Aqua United. Sunshine Stars are also hosting Lobby Stars. FC Fariba will be away at Shooting Stars of Ibadan. Kano Pillars will be entertaining Niger Tornadoes. ABS of Ilorin will tackle El Kanemi Warriors. Wiki Tourists will take on Abia Warriors. Gombe United will be guests of Enugu Rangers from last season's champions. Katsina United will tackle Plateau United, while Remo Stars will take on Eyimba. All these matches will be played on Sunday. But before that, the first game of the half season will be on Saturday, where Rivers United hosts Nasarawa United. And of course, if you're looking at the league table, it's Plateau United leading the way with 35 points after 19 games. MFM of Lagos are second with 33 points after 19 games. El Kanemi Warriors are third with 33 points after 19 games. And Niger Tornadoes are fourth with 30 points after 19 games. At the bottom of the table is Gombe United with 23 points in 17th place. Shooting Stars with 22 points in 18th place. Wiki Tourists 21 points after 19 games. And Remo Stars are bottom of the log. I like to call them the strongest team in the league because they are holding everybody up. They're popping up. They're like Hercules with 19 points. But how? Back to my question, Bimbo. How key is a mid-season break? We've talked about. You're a coach, so you understand the cycle of competitiveness, recuperation time, recovery time. These players, clubs say they play Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday, Wednesday. And it gives them little or no time for their players to recover. And so they're virtually playing either a second string team in another game, or they have a motley hodgepodge bag of players who are not fully fit, some are partly injured. How key is this?
Rest and recovery.
Because some are arguing that, look, you play Sunday and Wednesday. What's the big deal? It's no big deal. You can recover in time and get back to the pitch.
No. I don't think people should look at it as a non-big deal. Playing any sport, is physical. These guys. We as the consumers or the fans, we're only looking at the end product, which is game day, which is either Sunday or Wednesday. But we always tend to forget that before game day, there's preparation for game day. So psychologically, either with the team meetings or video or looking at preparation, And then there's a physical part that comes before game day. You're practicing. Maybe some teams practice 2 or 3 days before the game, or maybe some teams practice twice or 3 times a day before the game. In American football, you have what we call tour days, which is you practice in the morning, you rest during the afternoon. When the sun goes down, sometimes even if the sun's out, you're back up practicing again. So rest is good. Rest is important. And I think for the another side of it that's really important for the Nigerian Football League is I think all the teams and the league needs to take the rest period to realign their promises and priorities to these guys and to these players.
But is it a valid argument, though? I mean, playing Sunday and Wednesday, Sunday and Wednesday. Is it a valid argument by some of the clubs that it gives them little or no time to recover? Bearing in mind the fact that these clubs have to travel tremendous distances all across this country in some of the most horrendous travel conditions probably that come to mind, on some of the worst roads you can probably imagine as well. You know, I've talked to players where they played a match and immediately after the match they got back on the team bus and were traveling another 500 kilometers back to their base. No shower, no warm down, nothing. Just got back on the bus with their sweaty clothes and they were off again.
Maybe they couldn't pay for a hotel accommodation, but everyone has to cut their quota.
No, it's apart from that, because if you play midweek, you have to be able to get back to your base in time in order to prepare. So if you play on Sunday and you have a hotel accommodation and you want to leave on Monday, so the whole of Monday for travel is gone, which means you have just Tuesday to train and you're playing again on Wednesday.
Well, you know, the unfortunate thing is when you look at some of these other teams around the world that might even do that, they might leave a venue immediately after the game, they get on the team airplane, right? Which takes them back.
Or maybe it's a train, or sleeper train.
Maybe a serious tour bus that, you know, provides them all the amenities they need to relax, recover, and recuperate as they travel on back to their bases. Under our conditions here in Nigeria, again, you know, I mean, you said earlier that they're trying to fashion the schedule towards the European calendar. I don't know why. I mean,
well, yeah, I'll explain why. Because the problem is this: the Nigerian Professional Football League has been beset so many times with players leaving the league mid-season to travel to use European leagues to travel for new clubs. Because this mid-season break in Europe is July and August, June, July, August. By that time, the Nigerian Professional Football League is still on,
right? And
that's the time when clubs are doing trials for new players or recruiting. So it happens that some of these big teams lose key players at key points in the league. So what happens that they want to align it in such a way that when the European season is off, the Nigerian season is off. So if any of these players want to go abroad, go try out in time and come back in time and get a contract ahead of, you know.
Okay, that's good. That's fair. That's actually very considerate if that's the case, and that's very considerate. But I think playing Sunday and then coming back to play on Wednesday is very challenging. I mean, I don't even play in a league in Nigeria, but just traveling between one place and one place to another, it's the turnaround is just, you can spend half of Sunday and some of Monday on the road in traffic. You're not at your destination yet. You're just sitting in traffic. So I think the frustration also is added wear and tear on these athletes. So if the league has to consider it, you know, I mean, I know.
Not also mentioning security as well. We've had issues where team buses were attacked by robbers. Some players were shot. You know, we've had that in the past as well. So it's a very challenging, you know, condition.
They need to consider it. I mean, it needs to be sat down and spoken about, because you have a league where you have players that are not being paid salaries regularly, and then you're throwing them out on the road to travel under those conditions. I'm surprised these guys even dress up and play on Sunday and Wednesday. But, you know, I think what drives them is the fact that they want to change their lives. They want to play overseas. They want to play like Wilfred Ndidi now, who has become, you know, a star in Leicester. But the Nigerian football authorities need to really look at this. You know, don't look at the fact that you want to make money out of the league by forcing these guys to play under the conditions that they play and throwing games out there on Sundays and Wednesdays. Remember, they are the ones playing these games. They're the ones putting their lives at risk and in danger with these cross-country travels that they're making across the nation to play this game. Yes, we as fans of the sport, we're the consumers that go to pay ticket prices to see these games, but we want to make sure they're there. We don't want to come to a game and hear, oh, this team didn't arrive because during travel on one of these rough roads and no security, they were held up and they didn't make it. So,
or even at that, even when they do show up, we want to see a quality game.
Quality game.
Team,
not
both
tired,
teams well rested, who are willing and able to go, not tired players. You know, could it be also a problem because that there is no proper players union to fight for the rights of these players to ensure that they're not being exploited or being treated like cattle by both the club owners and the league management body?
I think so. I think somebody, I mean, we're here looking at it from outside.
You are quite aware of the NFL,
of course, players unions,
the NBS players unions.
Yeah.
I know about those two.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about baseball. Baseball too.
Baseball has a union.
Yeah,
all the structures.
All the major sports leagues
have a union.
Because
so,
you know about NBA lockouts.
Of course.
You know about the NBA NFL collective bargaining
agreement.
So
yeah.
I honestly, maybe that's one of the biggest problems of Nigerian football.
It's the biggest problem in not to talk outside sports. It's one of the biggest issues in Nigerian employment period. I mean, many people. I mean, we can go on and on about the basic salary being completely crap, but I think the owners need to do a better job for the people that they employ. You need to speak for these guys. And if for whatever reason there isn't a proper union in a league that you're really trying to put on the stock market, a league that you're trying to promote on TV by getting TV rights, then someone has to answer why. I mean, these players, I think and the thing that I've come to understand a lot about some Nigerian athletes is they keep quiet a lot. Really, because they just want to make sure I get to where my destination is. If my destination is me ending up playing in the league in Cyprus or in the Philippines, they will tolerate as much as they can, just knowing this is just temporary and to move on. A former president of Nigeria, Obasanjo, once said that Nigerians are people that when you keep pushing us back against the wall, other people when your back is against the wall, they push back. Baba said, when you push Nigerians back against the wall, we will tell you to just please wait. Then we climb that wall, and then you continue pushing us back.
No, we actually break through the wall, and
they keep pushing because I mean, unfortunately, the union needs to, if there isn't one, they need to create one.
There are two, but to be honest, I know there's APFON. And that's the Association of Professional Footballers of Nigeria, and the Nigerian Association of Nigerian Footballers. Both of them are just too very much politicized.
That's unfortunate.
Interests at heart. So it's really, really sad situation. And still talk about sad situations. The deaf national football team of Nigeria. Yes, you heard me right. We're not deaf. The Nigerian national deaf football team were recently in Mali for the West African Deaf Football Tournament. Against all odds, they traveled to the competition with no support from the government, no support from the federation. The federation didn't even give them kits, jerseys, tracksuits, nothing. This team raised money all by themselves, all thanks to their grand patron, Emmanuel Ibro. He paid everything and ensured that the team was in Mali. And against all odds, they won. They won. They beat host nation Mali in the final by 2-1 to emerge as champions, which puts them on the all-time list second behind Egypt on the African continent in terms of being pretty good at deaf football. And some of these players are absolutely fantastic. The only problem is that communication. They're really good enough to play for some professional football leagues, football teams in Nigeria or elsewhere. They're really, really good. And congratulations to them. They did it all against all odds. No one supported them. No one. I don't know what to say. I'm just.
I don't understand how things like this can go on.
They made an application to the NFF. Look, you don't have money. You're cash strapped. All we need from you is just support us, give us equipment that we can use. Didn't come through.
Shame on you, Nigerian football. It's terrible. I mean, if not to say that anyone of any disability is less than a citizen of this country, but there's a people that have decided to say, you know what, we love the sport, we want to play it regardless of whatever our challenges are. You know, we're going to go out and play and represent the most populated country in Africa. This is, excuse the French, the darkest, blackest country on this planet. but we do not support little things like this.
Maybe it's because our hearts are the darkest, blackest places you can find.
I think as Nigerians, our hearts are not even regular hearts anymore. It's crude oil. It's so crude and dark. Like if you stab a Nigerian heart, it's diesel that will come out of it, not blood. It's so sad, But this is the country we have, unfortunately, and this young men and women, and thanks to Mr. Ibru for going out and out of his way to do this for these people. This will change their lives for the rest of their lives. These young men and/or women may actually never play soccer anymore because they feel like, you know what, I have done something. They will tell these stories on to their children and their grandchildren. But the shameful part of this story, when this story is being told for the next 20, 30 years, is that you, Nigeria, didn't do anything about it.
It's really sad because, and from what I've seen of them, they are so well behaved, really quiet, no rancor, nothing. They don't complain. They're more than happy to go out and represent their country. The normal kind of diva antics you find from a regular national team, absolutely missing from these guys. They just want to play. All they want to do is just go out there and represent their country in the best way they know how, and that's what they keep doing. So. Shame, like you said. Shame
it is a huge shame. I remember growing up in Surulere. There was there's Wesley and Pashley School, right there on Ajao Road. For those that know the area.
And the Pacelli School for the Blind as well.
Yeah, Pacelli, and Wesley, same compound. The thing about the way Nigeria always somehow tends to treat people with disability is that we shut them out.
That was actually my next question.
We completely shut them out.
Maybe it's an African thing, actually.
I think so.
We see them as probably subhuman.
They're like cancer. We treat people
we hide
like
them.
that.
We treat them with disdain. And someone said something somewhere. He said it somewhere. I said, okay. Someone said something that being physically challenged is probably the biggest burden that any human being can bear. Right. And someone actually clapped back pretty quick. Said, no, that's not true. That the biggest challenge any human being can face is to be physically challenged in Africa, and not only in Africa, in Nigeria.
Oh yes.
I really don't know what to say. Well, Wednesday Night Football will take another quick break. We'll be right back with more action. When we come back, we'll be talking about American football and all that has been happening. And when we do come back, we'll have some little reggae vibe for you regarding American football coming out of the States. Wednesday Night Football, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Wednesday Night Football. My name is Tunde Koiki, and of course, Bimbo is still here as well. Bimbo Bankole. And together, we've been looking at a lot that has been happening on the Nigerian domestic football scene. Some of it has been pretty heartwarming, and some has been pretty disheartening as well. Let's talk American football now. And before we went on the break, I told you that we'll have a little reggae vibe for you. Stories coming out of American football show that Chico Marley. I'm sure a lot of you might not know that name, but actually he's the grandson of reggae legend, the late great Robert Nesta Marley, known as Bob Marley. He has been drafted by the he's been signed, He's been signed by the Washington Redskins after a rookie tryout camp. Chico, actually, he's the son of Rohan Marley, one of the sons of Bob Marley. And Rohan Marley actually played American football with the University of Miami. And get this, his teammates on the University of Miami football squad was actually none other than Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Hollywood star, former WWE wrestling star as well. So it's interesting. It's really, really interesting.
Well, it is. I mean, like we said off camera, it was quietly signed. I probably would have never even found out if
he went to school called Tulane.
Tulane, okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a good school. There's been a couple of I would say players that eventually made it in the NFL, coming from the division that Tulane plays in. As a fan of the Washington Redskins, it was quite a surprise move for me because, me personally don't think that his numbers were that great in college.
19 tackles over his career. He's a linebacker. He's 5'8". Not exactly the big. No, sorry, 5'11". Or is it 5'11"?
Yeah, about 5'11". Yeah.
Not exactly the biggest of linebackers, but that was actually my question.
Yeah.
What could have inspired this kind of move? Is it because of that last name? They're trying to garner some, I don't know, some kind of commercial interest in the player because you rightly said his numbers were not exactly, they didn't exactly jump out at you.
Yeah. I mean, I think for his situation, for him to actually be an undrafted free agent, and he tried for the Washington Redskins. Again, it all comes down to scheme and what the coaches are looking for. He can also be on special teams. So, it all depends on what the coaches saw in him for them to actually say, okay, we'll give him a spot on the team. Just to point out at this point right now, it's not necessarily a guaranteed spot. He still has to fight for a permanent spot on the team when they're going to reduction in July and August down to the 53-man roster. So for now, at least he has the opportunity to fight for a position on the Washington Redskins. Now, I mean, like I was saying earlier, they've had so many people come through the NFL. We've had Denzel Washington's son come through. There's been many players of celebrity status parents that have come through the NFL. But I think it all depends on how bad you want to play in the NFL, regardless of who your parent or grandparent is.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a silver spoon kid cut it in the NFL? Someone who came from really wealthy background.
You know what? That's actually an interesting question. I would say of the recent years, I don't think there's been a story. Doesn't necessarily mean there hasn't been a silver spoon kid in the NFL. I mean, some of the kids that actually come out from the Ivy schools, the Ivy League schools, might have decent backgrounds and upbringing, but maybe not big stories. I mean, usually the NFL stories are always, from struggle, from grass to grace kind of thing. But I'm sure there are some players in the league that, didn't necessarily need to play in the NFL, but they just loved the sport.
Another question. Has an unsigned player who was not drafted, who was an undrafted free agent, ever rose from being signed in the rookie camp, ever gone on to be a starter and a star on an NFL franchise?
Plenty of them. And the unfortunate thing about the NFL is that you have many first-round players or drafted players that don't end up making the team or end up just getting released or cut.
And they're first-round picks.
So again, the mental toughness when it comes to, playing in college or whatever level you played in, drafting, and then when it comes down to actually fighting for a position, earning a position, and keeping a position on the team is completely two different demons. So we've had some players that come out as first-round picks or even drafted in the first 7 rounds that don't cut it. They just can't get the sport. Either the sport has become too fast for them to actually assimilate, or become too physical for them, or just mentally they checked out. And then you have the undrafted guys that have told themselves, I have a lot to prove. I know I'm better than this guy, because an undrafted free agent is practicing in the same time, the same period as probably the number 1 pick in the draft. So there's a lot of motivation there. And, obviously the way a number 1 pick is going to be treated on any team is different from how an undrafted free agent is going to be treated. So I think a lot of them use that as the galvanizing force behind their success. And many of them make it. Plenty of stories of guys that come, it's later round picks, undrafted free agents that go on to sign big contracts and are Hall of Fame players today.
Interesting. You said something about being able to cut it. Just had a flash of that OT Genesis song in my head. Sorry about that. Any more news on the American football front?
On the American football front right now, obviously the rookie camp is wrapped up. So there's a break in between. But while that's going on a break, the Canadian Football League is definitely kicking off. It's a smaller league. Obviously, they've only got 9 teams on that league, and they've divided them into 2 different groups, into the 2 different divisions. But what we're going to do, and what we plan to bring you on the show, is we're going to highlight a lot of the other Canadian Nigerian players who play in the CFL, and also try to do a lot more research and bring you and highlight and bring to your viewing and hearing some more either American, Nigerian, or maybe just even Nigerian players that play in the Canadian Football League. So look forward to that. You know, tune in every week and catch up, and all our American fans and viewers out there. Yeah, get introduced to your Canadian brothers. So we plan to bring you that, some Canadian football players of Nigerian descent, and show you exactly their hustle and their grind across the border.
Okay. Okay. So you've heard from Bimbo. So that's something for you to look forward to the coming weeks right here on Wednesday Night Football. Plenty of American football action, especially with emphasis on Nigerian American. Did we say American, Nigerian, Nigerian American? I don't know which one.
I just go either way sometimes.
Yeah, so because sometimes you say these players, they see themselves first as American, but Nigerian. So I'm more proud of the heritage, so they say that I'm Nigerian American. But we'll bring you some players with Nigerian heritage right here on the show.
Exactly.
And also either be from the United States or Canada or even from Europe. It depends on where they originated from. But we do know one thing about them. They have Nigerian blood flowing through their veins. That's Wednesday Night Football done and dusted this fine evening. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you again, Bimbo.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, as usual. Thank you.
I'm sure you probably get over some of the really disheartening news that we've had to talk about, especially the deaf football.
Unbelievable.
It's really, really sad. Really, really sad. And once again, shame on the authorities for abandoning these people and treating them less than they deserve. My name is Tunde Koiki, your regular anchor. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time.